Greetings, fellow sorcerer supreme! Tiki here, and welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we indulge in the finer points of filmmaking. And with me today is BlueDragonFive. How you doing?
Okay.
And Super Academy writer-director Jacob Gulliver, also big-time Doctor Strange fan. Jacob, oh
Yes.
my god, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
I love the picture that you put up on Facebook this morning. Do you mind kind of telling Dragon what it looked like?
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring up the picture here. Essentially, the idea was that I took a picture of, the trailer when it got posted, and then I took a picture myself, kind of be like, oh, okay, I'll take a look at this. And then I posted the last shot where he's going up the stairs. Then the shot after that is me just surrounded by all of my Doctor Strange stuff. And I have this, terrified look of, surprise and wonder on my face. It's really funny. Let's see. Here we go. So, let's see if you can see it there.
Beautiful.
So there's me at the top.
Yeah.
In the end, there's me.
Hold on. I'll log it onto your screen. Hold on.
That's great.
Yeah, you can feel free to grab the image if you want to use it at some point.
Well, what I might do is go into Photoshop and downsize it a little bit, but I might use it as the thumbnail for this video if I have your full permission to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I put it up on Imager as well, getting a couple thousand people viewing it today.
It's great. It's great, man.
Yeah.
So is today basically like your second Christmas right now?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
more like his third. Remember, he looked into the orb of Okamoto, and he looked into kind of what Marvel's been planning, and he got some news, didn't he?
Oh God.
So,
of the televised variety. Tell him what it is, Jake. Hello?
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Tell him what it is, Mr. Gulliver. Tell him what the other Marvel-related news is.
Yeah, there's going to be a Cloak and Dagger show.
Yeah,
which I'm pretty excited about. So I'm pretty hyped for that. I'm also.
So it's like in the span of just a couple days, it's like, oh, this awesome thing.
Yeah, I think I've been planning on keeping my expectations for this movie really low for a long time. Just because it was kind of in production hell for a long time. Right after they did Iron Man, there were rumors of all these other characters, and for a while, Guillermo del Toro was attached, but then it kind of fell apart, and I didn't know if it was ever going to happen.
A Guillermo del Toro project that fell apart. Shocking.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Guillermo del Toro he's up there.
Mansion.
Yeah. Top favorite directors of all time. Guillermo is definitely in there. So seeing him work on something like this with the kind of crazy imagination he has would be fantastic if that were possible. But I get that.
Problem with Guillermo del Toro is Guillermo del Toro would be a perfect fit for this. He would also be a perfect fit for the Haunted Mansion. He would also be a perfect fit for any number of things that he's gotten his hands in.
Yeah. Like Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing would be awesome if directed by Guillermo del Toro.
That's part of why
that's the whole thing, is that Guillermo del Toro is his style would fit so many things, but there's only so much Guillermo del Toro to go around.
Yeah, so...
But I think above all else, Guillermo del Toro, Hellboy 3, please, I beg you, please.
I think that's got a good chance of happening. He's getting some traction on that. He's really looking into that.
Yeah. I think, I've essentially tried to keep my expectations low as I've been hearing more things about it, and I don't know if this is gonna be a good or a bad thing. And then as we've been getting closer to the trailer with more of the screenshots coming out and more of the details about who's writing it, and more of the seeing the stuff from last week when Bennedict went into the comic book shop in the freaking costume, and there's a picture of him holding the Oath, which is my favorite Doctor Strange story ever. I started to get pretty hyped about it. So it's just been this slow, rolling snowball that's going to proceed forever and ever until it comes out.
Oh god.
So it sounds a lot like you're having the Doctor Strange version of my Deadpool experience.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I'm happy how BlueDragonFive's Deadpool experience worked out. I just pray to God for your benefit, it's not like my Jurassic World.
Sure.
All right. Anyways. So speaking of awesome things, BlueDragonFive, I believe we have a podcast to promote.
What's it called?
It is called the Movie Machine Podcast.
Of course, the best podcast ever.
Yes, it's an improv-based comedy podcast based on designing movies and... Oh my god. Silly me, we have a founding member of the Movie Machine right here.
Of course! Yes!
Yes.
Whoever shall it be?
Yeah.
We have Alex Jeffries, ladies and gentlemen. Alex Jeffries.
All right. Yeah. Sweet. I didn't know he was coming. Yes.
No, all of us wish we were Alex Jeffries. But who do we have here with us? Which member of that esteemed crew do we have here? Is it Ben Lifson? I don't think so. Is it Kyle Decker? Maybe next time. Who is it?
Is it Kyle Decker's evil twin brother, Tim Decker?
Nah, he costs too much money.
Yeah. No, yeah, we've been working really hard on the Movie Machine. It's something that we've gotten a little bit of traffic on. The Hot Chocolate Media crew just did a kind of a little stint as part of a 50-hour comedy festival this past weekend.
Yeah, that was insane.
Which was, it was promoting Fearless Comedy, which is like one of the biggest, like theater and stand-up and comedy production places in town, and we have a lot of contacts there. They run a large part of the biggest geek convention in town. That's not like a corporate event. So it was really cool to be a part of that, and we got to record 2 Movie Machine episodes live. If you haven't heard about the Movie Machine and you're wondering what the hell is this guy talking about, it's an improv podcast where we have several people who take the role of a Hollywood writer, director, and producer, and they have a goal of making up a movie based on a prompt from a random story generator. And the writer wants to tell a good story, the director wants to create something visually exciting and memorable and cast cool people in it, and the producer wants to make money. So oftentimes those ideas clash with each other, and it gets really fun seeing how things go and what happens within it. But yeah, it's all improv comedy. It's really silly and fun. Highly recommend.
I think the highlight so far has definitely been the serious drama starring Tim Curry.
So what you're describing so far is one of the best podcasts ever made. Okay.
And also, I just want to point this out. I've been telling people to go to hotchocolatemedia.com. I apologize. Hotchocolatemedia.net, everyone. I'm really embarrassed about that.
Oh, not the end of the world. You can put up a link if you want to in the description.
I know, I always mean to, but then I should do that like when I'm typing out the description so I don't forget to go and do it afterwards.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, you're directing traffic to the wrong one. You'll go to .com. There's the evil. That's where the evil. That's where the evil.
We're also in iTunes, or you can also find us in iTunes or Stitcher or Antenna Pod, wherever you get podcasts normally. You can find the Movie Machine there.
For sure. Okay. So, I'm sorry. Was that it?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off really abruptly and dramatically there.
No worries.
Well, also, folks, remember, let's also plug Crimson Toro.
Crimson Toro. You guys need to go on Shark Tank with that. Okay.
I think the parody license only gets us so far. I think pretty soon somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, wait a minute. This seems a little bit familiar. I'm not sure why, but I think there might be liable here."
You want to hear something really ridiculous real quick of that other product you're hinting at?
Sure.
The product that's similar but by no means as cool as Crimson Toro was actually sued once because their advertising was false. I kid you not.
Yeah.
There was no little disclaimer about giving you
wings.
The person actually collected tons of, I don't know how much, but collected a amount of money. That's for basically just collecting on a typo.
Yeah.
The fact that you did not get wings after drinking said drink. But Crimson Toro delivers, folks. It delivers in spades. It is awesome. It is something that only you can see on Super Academy, and hopefully soon coming to Hot Chocolate Media.
All right. So let's get to the main event here.
Product placement aside.
yeah. I'll kind of save Jacob for last because he's probably got the strongest reaction. So I've probably got the least stake in this movie, so I'll go first. What I was expecting from this movie initially going in, I was just kind of wanting a change of pace for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because while I am hearing a lot of really good buzz about Civil War, my hype meter about Civil War is way back up, Dragon, after being really down low for quite a while.
Well, it better be.
So just consider that amended. My hype meter is thoroughly up for Civil War right now.
We're talking sequel to the Oscar-winning Marvel movie. Come on.
But mostly I was just curious to see if the MCU could really pull off like a bizarre kind of supernatural. I'm not expecting a horror movie, but I'm definitely expecting some kind of mind-bending horror elements to it, and just something that was different. Something that was a fresh take. And my God. I got that. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was. That's why we have Jacob here, because he's definitely the Doctor Strange expert. But just the imagery in that trailer alone sold me. I absolutely think that the whole, obviously the shot of him going up the staircase is great, but I thought the money shot of the whole thing was right at the very end when he's just looking up at Tilda Swinton, and he's just like, teach me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's how everyone...
Beard is like super messed up, or he's like...
He just went on a wild ride.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how everyone feels, too, after seeing that. They're just like, teach me! I want to know! What is this movie? So, no, overall, I was definitely stoked by the trailer, just simply because, for my expectations, I just wanted a different change of pace for the MCU. I got it. I wanted a weird kind of hybrid horror supernatural thing. I got that. So, yeah, the trailer pretty much delivered on all fronts from what I was expecting from it personally. All right, Dragon, let's go to you. What was your expectations before the trailer and then your experience after the trailer?
Okay, so let me tell you my overall thing with Doctor Strange in general. So before this, I'm not a huge Doctor Strange guy. I don't know, I appreciate kind of the cool visuals of the guy. I had like a really cool design. I kind of liked he was kind of the go-to and doctor, mystical doctor of the Marvel universe. With the whole Spider-Man trying to heal Aunt May. Whenever it has like having an injury or something really wrong, they go to doctor.
Really quick. I'm sorry, Dragon, just really quick. The only thing I know about Doctor Strange is from the stuff I've read of Infinity War. So, yeah, that's like literally my only entry point to Doctor Strange. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One is, I kind of know Doctor Strange and just kind of the collective, you go to this, the place in Greenwich Village? I'm sorry, how do I pronounce it? Is it...
Greenwich?
Greenwich, thank you.
Greenwich Village.
Greenwich Village. I remember like that great visual. You go into this apartment, you have this is not apartment. You go into this building, and you have the manservant there helping him. Well, give just the personal assistant.
Sanctum Sanctorum is what you're looking for.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I thought it was like there was a front, and then inside is the Sanctum Sanctorum. Is that how? Okay, the whole place is just.
He has like a house, but it's a pan-dimensional house. There's multiple layers within it, so.
It's kind of funny. Dr. Fate has
kind of and is not the Sanctum Sanctorum simultaneously.
Okay. It's kind of a point of this trailer in many aspects. Things
pretty much.
Not being at the same time.
When I was watching the trailer, I was genuinely like, "Holy shit! This is the Inception sequel that I always wanted."
It's also kind of strange how in the DC universe, Dr. Fate, who I've had more time to get to know in animation, is kind of the equivalent to Doctor Strange in the Marvel universe. He's kind of the mystical healing doctor of DC in many aspects. He's not as cool and psychedelic and 60s looking as Doctor Strange is.
And speaking of doctors that are named Strange, I've got the Hugo Strange beard.
Hey,
for whatever that's worth.
Round glasses.
Yep.
I know. I just need
fracture glasses.
Yes.
I changed it like right below the ears, just like BD Wong has it in Gotham. I'm really working it. All right. Anyway,
point is, I just kind of know him in the collective, kind of like how I used to have experience with Captain America. I used to know him. I used to view Captain more as like he's him on the Avengers, less than investing myself in him as a solo character. Kind of in that vein, just a little less with Doctor Strange, because I'm not really a magical guy. Magic kind of loses me. That's my thing. But in recent years, especially with kind of Thor and the Thor movies and Marvel. I'm coming around a little bit more on the magical stuff. But as long as it's kind of explained, not explained, as long as it's kind of like portrayed really well, it's kind of this interesting area. Of course, I love that kind of Marvel's taking these stepping stones now. Like each film is getting more and more ambitious. Of like kind of you think how. You think they've done everything now, but then they're going to, raise the bar even further. You think, okay, we got magic kind of well explained authorities. It's stuff that's unexplained. Okay.
Now it's just like, now it's just straight up like Rick and Morty status. Just like, nope, just dimensions upon dimensions, endless possibilities.
So now we got, Doctor Strange and we got Iron Fist on the way, kind of going full mystical direction in Marvel. It sounds really cool. We also in the DC side been kind of shifting towards that too with Arrow recently. So I mean, it's kind of where we've been heading in these directions. So I mean, I'm a little bit more on board with the whole magical direction. In the way they've been portraying in Marvel so far, I've been sold on it. So. The only experience in kind of getting to know Doctor Strange I've had was the animated film, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, and that was kind of the Gulliver, tell me, how accurate is that movie to Doctor Strange, in your opinion?
I mean, the story is fairly accurate in terms of the elements of getting from point A to point B within it. The style of it is different than the original comics,
right?
Particularly the original Stan Lee. Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko line right at the beginning. That's the elements of the story there, but the way it's told is not the same. The magic is designed to be much more visual and much more something that lends itself well to animation. Doctor Strange is tricky as a film character because he's an intellectual hero. He's not really like an action hero. And I don't think that this Doctor Strange movie is going to be an action movie. There's going to be cool sequences with lots of exciting magic, but Doctor Strange solves mysteries and he fixes problems that other people can't because they don't understand or they're not willing to try and understand something that doesn't make any sense.
That sounds interesting. What I'm really clinging to from that film was this really great kind of explanation of the magic, and I think it wasn't really later on it gets really action heavy in the third act, but there's this really great bit when he's learning from the Ancient One in the film, where he basically it's kind of like the end of the training mode, at least right before he's getting ready to don the outfit and everything. It's like when he's still healing his hands, and he basically kind of learns that you limit yourself with like what you perceive to be real and not real. When he's like kind of lifting stones, building this wall that he's kind of imagined for himself. Point is, I think if they're going in that direction for the thing for this film, it might be kind of what you're telling me here. I think that could be really interesting, kind of being done. You got kind of this whole trailer kind of goes into kind of like perceptions of like it's like what you imagine. There's much more beyond what we even think on this one dimension, on this two-dimensional level.
Yeah. There's definitely elements of the mystical aspects of Buddhism and Hinduism that have kind of slowly worked their way into this, and that's not to say like they're perfect representations of that in any way, but there's definitely elements of those types of mysticism where there are such things as immortals and there are such things as other planes or dimensions or locations that can't be accessed without access to this hidden knowledge. So it's definitely something that the MCU doesn't really have right now. So I'm completely in agreement that I think that's going to be interesting to see.
Right, so let me summarize my point here because I'm going on too long, I know. But basically, the animated film was my main crux of kind of Doctor Strange, just kind of my Cliff Notes version of just kind of the essentials of Doctor Strange. Basically, I know the egotist Doctor gets full of himself. Gets his hands banged up, and he goes to the Himalayas, tries everything, getting him healed so he can have his life back. And then the thing that the film threw me, and the animated film threw me, was he had a sister. I didn't know anything about the sister. I'm assuming that might have been for the movie. Am I right at all? Is this? Yeah, it was just.
They made him younger in the animated movie, and they gave him the sister character, which I feel adds a little bit of an element, but to me, I think the journey is I don't think he needs an external source to prove to him that he needs to change or to find that compassion. Because if his relationship with his sister was really good, then I think that it would have been he would have been a different person. He wouldn't have been the egotistical surgeon. If his sister was this beacon of light in his life, then to me it doesn't make sense that he's turned out that way.
That's fair. That's fair. My main point is like that's kind of my main That's my expectations are kind of managed too. Because I mean, I like the film, but I wasn't in love with it. But I say, okay, that's kind of neat. And again, elements of Doctor Strange. I got just kind of the surface, like you get the surface level of Doctor Strange with that film. So going into this, when he was mentioned in Winter Soldier, which is again probably my favorite Marvel movie at this point, just like, oh my god, just a little mention of you're Bruce Banner, you're Stephen Strange, like oh my god,
that was the first time that like they specifically because there was so much like talk, is it happening, is it not, and then when we heard that, it's like, okay, it's happening now, like this is real, they've committed to it.
And again, the other thing of just like the other thing of just kind of knowing he's kind of the go-to doctor of the Marvel Universe. The last funny thing I'll mention is that I have this book of just these written stories of Stan Lee meeting Marvel characters, and I love the one where he meets Stephen Strange. He goes inside the house, he takes the number, he meets Wong and everything. It's really fun. So this is basically what I know about Doctor Strange. I'm pretty just kind of open territory. I mean, I've looked up a few things. Again, since pretty much was in the anime movies, just kind of the basics of Strange. I know, like I know Dormammu, I know Brandon Mordo, but again, I don't know all the intricacies. But I'm pretty open. I'm a little more open to Doctor Strange than I would have been years ago since that film. So I'm looking forward to this. And this after seeing this trailer, I mean, just visually, I was blown away. And again, I think it kind of embodies that scene I was telling you about. You mentioned it's like, oh my god, yeah, it's this whole other world of like just things you never thought of, just opening all these possibilities, and they're doing it visually, which looks fantastic, and they can kind of sell me on this, which after seeing this, I don't really think there's gonna be a problem with that. It's gonna be great. My only wonder is how they're gonna portray Mads Mikkelsen, like who's gonna be and what kind of character he's gonna be, because I love that actor too from Hannibal and some other stuff too. And at point is good actors. I'm wondering what his character is going to be, and that I'm really looking forward to the movie now. I think it's going to be a good kind of surprise film for Marvel this year, because all the attention's going to Civil War, and I think this one's going to be kind of one in November. It's like kind of in the quiet season, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. So I liked it.
Yeah. Me too.
All right, Jacob, so kind of your before and after for the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been trying to keep, my expectations in check because it's just such a personal character for me. I think the first time I watched through the trailer, it wasn't exactly like what I was expecting, but I mean, that's just because I'm so used to the very specific look and feel. But having watched it several times, I think that they're hitting the right notes. I think they're telling the right things. And they're keeping it fairly mysterious, which I think is the right choice. Because Doctor Strange is all about, mystery and running into things you don't understand. And then coming out with a really positive, solution, or a really creative and cunning, solution to a particularly interesting problem. So I think that's the right choice, the way they've done it. The car crash is important. I'm glad that they... I hope that they keep the editing for that, very tight and very straightforward, like it is in the trailer, because right now it's visually pleasing. It conveys that, yes, he's been really hurt. We see his hands so many times in the trailer, so we get that he's, he's this gifted surgeon who has this incredible talent, and it's, he feels like it's been robbed from him. It feels like his, the reason that he was... placed on the earth, or the reason that he was part of this, the journey that is this universe, is to do the surgery work that he did, to make as much money as possible and advance his status in society. And then after he has the accident and he can't find, if the limits of mortal science have no way of repairing those hands, he gets further and further away from what it is that mortal science can do, and starts looking into alternative medicine, and he's spending all of his money, getting these quack doctors and, new age medicine men and, snake oil salesmen, these, crank cures that don't do anything for him. So I think through that process, he learns humility, and, he learns what it's like to, not have an option when you're a famous surgeon who has a ton of money You know, you feel like you're invincible. You feel like you can buy anything, but you can't buy, you know, the knowledge that everything's going to be okay tomorrow. That's just not there. So I think that's the important note to hit in the trailer, is this journey of a person who, you know, starts out feeling very confident and feeling very sure that they clearly understand the way the world works, and having that slowly stripped away and changed. That's the heart of the Doctor Strange story, regardless of what the other elements are. The Ancient One, I think, is a character that's more important as an idea, you know, and mostly he's depicted as somebody who's, you know, a tiny old Asian man who can, you know, float and fly and is ridiculously good with magic and is the previous Sorcerer Supreme. But you know, it doesn't really matter what the Ancient One looks like, because they represent this idea. They represent an ideal of, you know, perfect magical form, of, you know, mastery of a talent that doesn't exist for 99.99% of the world. So I like the take that they've given it. I like that that Tilda Swinton's performance is very androgynous, because that gives you a sense of that, you know, it's an idea. It's not really a person in the same way. It's a conduit for divine energy, and to me that's really interesting. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. Mordo in the comics is probably my least favorite Doctor Strange villain, just because he's so obviously evil from day one. I mean, it's, you know, the writing is you know, of the time. It's of course the way it is, but, you know, as soon as he gets to the monastery and starts training, you know that, like, Mordo is just the worst person and should never have been allowed there in the first place.
Not to mention, my other exposure to Strange was in the '90s Spider-Man animated series too.
Yeah.
All those. And Mordo and Dormammu were in there. They were so obviously evil.
Yeah. You know, they did a better job with that in that animated movie of keeping Mordo, you know, as somebody who starts out as an ally, and I think they'll probably take that same route here. Just a random, you know, out there theory. Maybe they're going to use, maybe in this world, Mordo is from Wakanda, just as a way to connect the other, you know, Marvel movies in the pipe.
That'd be cool.
That would be an interesting way, because I know the Black Panther mythology also involves mysticism.
You kind of need to get an Iron Man cameo, like a Tony Stark meeting Stephen Strange in his heyday.
Sure. So, yeah, I think, you know, they're purposely keeping that really close to the chest. The whole relationship with Mordo, we, you know, in theory, we hear him once in the trailer, but they don't really specify if that's him or not. So there's a lot to explore there. In terms of the magic, yeah, it's gorgeous. I agree completely. Some of the stuff does remind of Inception, specifically that city shot. Mm-hmm. And Doctor Strange has always been a character that travels from, you know, dimension to dimension and reality to reality, and, you know, he has an astral form that he can take, where he can, you know, travel at rapid speeds around the world and observe events from very far away, and then return to his body and have, you know, this knowledge of what's transpired. So I think that's probably what we're seeing with a lot of the magic that's on display, is, you know, the lines between worlds blurring. Right. This element of, you know, other realities laid on top of our own. Yeah. There's a lot of speculation that the Eye of Agamotto is going to be one of the remaining gems, the Infinity Gems, which is probably which is probably spot on.
Wow.
But I don't know if that's true or not. But
well, we know the orb of Agamotto's in Thor's in Odin's treasure room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then again, so was the Infinity Gauntlet, so it's still up in the air how in continuity that was now.
We'll have to wait for Ragnarok, I guess, to find out.
I mean, you know, Thanos could have just stole it, I guess. But, you know, Loki's in control. He's probably not looking around that hard.
Yeah, or Loki could have handed it to him in exchange for, you know, being spared from Thanos' wrath. I could see that one happening pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he couldn't even handle the other putting his hand to his head. You know, I don't think he can handle it. Takes a guy like Ronan to stand up to the other. I don't even know if to stand up to Thanos even.
Sure. So yeah, those are kind of my initial impressions. I think there's a lot of left to see yet still.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they're granted they only did finish filming a week and a couple days ago at this point, so I'm sure there's plenty of the big CG scenes that aren't done yet. But
like Dormammu's flaming head, maybe.
There's also some speculation that the not necessarily Mads Mikkelsen, but the characters that split off with him and form this splinter group are the mindless ones. They've shown up in a bunch of Doctor Strange media over time. Essentially, there's this parallel dimension with a world where, the idea, and this ties back to that whole intellectual idea, the idea of having a mind, having the ability to converse and self-reflect is something that has never evolved. It's something that's not there. So there's these creatures that are all primal instinct. They're essentially personified ids, and they're big, stony guys with
I know
a hole for a face.
I tell you, I've seen in some of one of my favorite John Jr. Spider-Man runs back when it's Ezekiel and all that stuff. There was this great bit where Spider-Man. I know he's having a hot dog with Loki at some point, but I mean there's also a thing. I don't know if he was having a conversation with Loki. And I think he was eating a hot dog while I was talking to Loki. Otherwise, it was it was a whole Doctor Strange occurrence because Dormammu and the mindless ones were involved there. It was such a beautiful kind of layout. All the Marvel heroes fighting all these mindless ones. It looked beautiful. I remember those guys. I mean, I don't know a lot about Doctor Strange, but I remember Dormammu, most iconic of the Doctor Strange villains, and those mindless ones. Oh man, cool designs.
Yeah, they haven't been around a lot in recent years. The most recent thing I can think of that has mindless ones in it, there's a Captain Britain run from 2007 or 2008, and they were one of the bad guys. Captain Britain is also a magic user.
There's also going to be the sequel, Amazing Spider-Man 2, when Spider-Man was supposed to go to England. It's going to be Captain Britain.
Oh God. Okay, so are you guys ready to kind of just do the screen share and kind of dissect the scenes and everything?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make with the amazement.
I will. I certainly shall. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm just going to walk on my screen really quick. There we go. All right. Let's do it.
Behold.
Full screen that shit.
Truly goodness.
Turn down the volume just to be on the safe side.
So we don't get sued. Because Kevin Feige, he really needs our lack of money.
He needs the 3 cents we've made in ad revenue. Okay, so like Jacob said, the car crash, really vivid detail right here.
Is this the first time it's ever been set underwater? I'm just curious.
In the animated movie, it's raining really hard. In the comics, I think it's just that he's spun out or something. But
I gotta tell you, I love the rain visual though. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's almost reminiscent of the lighting style that's in Daredevil, where it's got there's one soft light that's hitting all of the important parts in the scene, and then there's also a secondary light that's putting an edge on everything. Kind of like what I got now. There's a soft light coming in from over here,
right,
and then there's an edge that's hitting one side.
You gotta remember, this is this moment here, folks. This is his kind of landmine going off into the chest of Iron Man. Here, this is kind of a huge moment for Doctor Strange, and I love they are kind of capturing that right from the get-go here. That was kind of a huge moment way back in 2008 with Iron Man. Even if you weren't familiar with the guy, you have that moment right in the intro of oh wow, so that's how it became Iron Man. That's why it has the thing in the chest. So cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, really good establishing shots right there.
So let's see, after we see that shot there, it's forget everything you think you know. I believe that's being said.
Yeah.
One theme I noticed about this trailer, a lot of emphasis on Bennedict Cumberbatch's many different styles of facial hair.
And his hands. Let's not forget his hands.
It's mostly facial hair and hands.
I gotta tell you, I do love all the hand shots, though. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think they're really cool looking.
No, you don't have to apologize. They are cool. Okay.
You know what
Yeah.
that location is? That's not the Himalayas, is it? Himalayas
like
usually snow covered, right?
In the original comic, it's Tibet.
Okay.
It's not really handled with the most cultural sensitivity.
Right.
It was 1963, so...
Iron Man's captor in the original origin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's not...
Right.
It doesn't really matter, honestly. It's, he's seeking out a remote place where he thinks he can find knowledge.
No, I'm just asking what you think this location looks like.
It could be, Himalayas, Nepal, Tibet, or, any of the surrounding areas, really.
It's kind of the go-to place in everyone's globetrotting. They always go to the kind of the spiritual, kind of peaceful places,
Right.
That makes sense, but... Yeah.
Big
More
emphasis on hands.
That's a good. I love the transitions in the show, but we kind of cut from him kind of on the journey back to the origin. I like that. Also, we saw Rachel. If you can go back a little bit, just a little.
Yeah, there's just a briefest glimpse of Rachel McAdams there.
Yeah, first of all, I love Rachel McAdams as an actress. Just want to mention that. Secondly, she thinks that the word is she's night nurse. Now she hasn't been officially confirmed. From what I've heard, but that's the big rumor.
Like the night nurse? Like the head of the night nurse? Because I thought that...
No, yeah, Claire is a night nurse.
Night nurse.
But isn't there like it's a whole kind of battalion? Well, not a battalion, but like a whole group of nurses that kind of in the same kind of, they patch up the superheroes sort of thing.
Yeah. Again, my favorite Doctor Strange story, The Oath, has a significant portion where night nurse is a primary character, and I can say nothing about that story without spoiling huge portions of it.
Yeah, it's fair, but I just wanted to be clear on this night nurse thing. So there's many night nurses, right?
If memory serves, that's correct. I think there's one primary one, and then there's people who show up and take the mantle for various different purposes.
I just think it's such a cool. I love the night nurse idea that we have established in Netflix and this now. I love that.
Now this is Cumberbach at its most Cumberbachy, just all posh and British and looks nice.
Tony Stark's left his penthouse. Tony Stark's left his penthouse right now. Now he's just all alone. I'm gonna look out. I'm gonna look out the city right now.
I'm assuming this shot is from him in the prime of his surgeon days.
Yeah.
Okay.
As Starburst would say, hashtag Cumberfresh.
Oh god.
Or just put on a tuxedo. Says, I'm gonna be sad now.
That's a great transition. I love that transition.
You're right. And again, with more hands. Just looking at it, I don't need to use my hands because I have them. But no, I wish I had these more than anything right now.
Just seriously, look how good this transition is from that to that. Oh
that
my
is
god.
Great. The reflection of who he used to be. Great little
hands.
Hands.
If there's a hand equivalent to Quentin Tarantino, he directed this.
Someone has a hand fetish.
Right.
We're not judging because we love these hand shots too. Apparently.
Oh my god, more hands.
No, but seriously, I love it. These are the gift from God. Oh, these hands! I've saved thousands of lives with these hands. And I love that shot right there, which just happened. As he's like, I'm prepping for surgery, getting back in the glory days to this. And again, I love that the face was covered, just showing kind of a little mask in the.
You can see the hands shaking too. With the
yes,
you can't hold them steady.
Think he's in prison or is he visiting someone in prison? What do you think? Think there's a bars?
Looks like it's some kind of rundown flat in a foreign country or something like that.
I think he's presenting his hands to somebody at that point. I think he's asking for help because the expression on his face is one of shame to me.
The only reason I don't think it's prison is just because of the graffiti in the background right there.
Yeah.
But okay. Talk about hand shots. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
god.
got kind of the setup that Blonsky had in Incredible Hulk, all the wires and holding the hands up. It's not good. Poor Strange.
I'm sorry.
And you get the transition between New York and wherever the monastery is. Pseudo-Tibet.
Yeah.
Okay, now
there's Mordo.
Mordo. Okay.
Mordo with the sword. I just love the shot of a guy walking through his through a city with a sword on his back, just looking really cool, just walking like that.
I mean, shit, if I had that coat and a sword, then I'd probably dress like that all the time, too.
Who was playing this guy?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he sounds fine. I don't know. This part of the trailer really didn't grab me.
Well, remember, they're not calling him Baron. I looked it up on Wikipedia. I mean, just to see if there's anything additional that we should probably bring up here. They're not calling him Baron. They're calling him. I want to say it's Carl, but I can't remember what they're. It's something Mordo. It's just something really casual, though.
I don't remember. In the comics, Baron Mordo is like he's this regional authority for some weird nation in Europe, and something like on the lines of like Doctor Doom's Latveria. It's one of those made up countries in Europe.
Yeah, we have enough Barons in the Marvel Universe. We already have 2 Barons in Captain America alone.
Sure.
Oh, God.
And I think it's probably a good idea maybe to limit the Barons. But then again, maybe some connections if you wanted to go that way. But, let's see what they're going to do.
Sure. I mean, the idea with him is that he had reached the limit of his social standing, and he wanted to, learn the arcane arts because he thought it would make him, it would raise his social standing again. He wanted it for power. He didn't want it for any other benefit beyond that.
Hey, a former Baron. That's a cool idea. Okay.
So that was what he was in the comics. Again, like I said, my least favorite strange villain in the comics.
That's fair.
But just because the motives are so obvious and straightforward from the beginning. But this version of Mordo, I'm very curious to see what they do with.
Okay, let's see. So
some more traveling shots.
Emphasis on the ever-changing facial hair right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it progressively gets like, he starts out very clean, and then it gets like worse and worse and worse, and then he refines it back. But it's also sort of a symbol of his journey, so I don't think he goes clean shaven again.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't think so either. Yeah.
Here we are. Behold the Ancient One.
Oh yeah. And this is where the trailer literally punches you in the gut.
Yeah, that's when the trailer. Don't get me wrong, and the hand shot is like for this little passing familiarity, like, oh yeah, that's the origin. That's cool. This is the moment where I think it just kind of sells, if not just your passersby, and definitely the general audience. If just when he gets punched, and basically when the chi is a chi or it's astral projection.
Astral projection. Yeah, this is one of the first things that Doctor Strange learns. And he uses it so many times throughout the comics. I actually have an action figure.
The Hero Cleanse, right?
No, I have an action figure. It's like an actual action figure from about, probably 20 years ago. That is his astral projection form. It's blue and white across the whole thing because it's him in that astral projection form. So it's definitely something that comes up a lot in the comics.
So I remember from Jackie Chan Adventures, there was like this talisman that would give you the power to go astral, and you can go into people's dreams and possess them.
Oh god.
But yeah, seriously, this is such a cool shot. The minute he's just like and the reaction after he's just kind of like thrown out of his body into the astral form. He was like, "Oh my god, what did you just do to me?" And again, very little familiar, but again, going off the anime film, I knew the Ancient One, and also from Marvel Ultimate Alliance. When Deadpool was mocking the Ancient One trapped in the mirror, which I thought was hysterical. Mm-hmm. You had, I knew that the Ancient One was a guy, and I wasn't like kind of worried like, oh, it's going to ruin the movie or anything. I was like, yeah, I wonder if it's going to sell, because I like the other portrayals of the Ancient One. I got to tell you, she seems to be doing an excellent job. You're right, Gulliver, absolutely. The whole, it's kind of not androgynous, but it's beyond the gender. Sort of thing.
Right.
I think you're onto something there, because that seems to be a really cool idea. Because it's.
I think Tilda Swinton's really good casting here. I think it's good to have an actress of her clout in the MCU, and also just I don't know, like I wonder what this movie would be without her, because there's a lot of talk about diversity in film right now, so it's good to have like a really super strong female lead in this film who's basically gonna guide Doctor Strange through everything. And I'm just kind of thinking from a PC point of view right now, but I'm just saying for the times and the climate that we're in, I can only see that as a good thing, as a positive, to have another really good female character.
I was saying she seems really faithful to what I've seen of the Ancient One, as being kind of the really wise, knowledgeable kind of Sorcerer Supreme. I'm kind of sold on her just in the trailer. Like, okay, I can definitely dig this. It seems good.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of questioning that to go back to the subject we were just talking about. In the comics, this character is Asian, and there's been cries of whitewashing, which is absolutely a problem in Hollywood, and should be acknowledged.
Sure.
I think in this particular case, I think this works for me, specifically because of that idea of the character being this divine conduit. They're not really a person anymore. They're an energy that is utilizing a physical body to complete the tasks that are appropriate to do. So in this particular case, I think it works. I think the way that the way that she looks on screen is, she doesn't look human. She looks like, almost like an alien. Like,
I think it's another reason it doesn't bother me. Like, she just doesn't seem male or female.
Right. It's really cool. So I'm very curious to see the way that works out in the rest of the film.
So here we go. There's Mads Mikkelsen here. He's again, he looks just look-wise, he looks kind of like Nightmare, if I'm right there. Nightmare had gray hair, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, well, Nightmare also rode a giant black unicorn and had, green things that shot out of his shoulders and had elf ears and crap like that.
Remember,
too.
on Agent Carter, we had a character who literally was kind of a Batman knockoff. The ability to control bats.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they can repurpose things. We know Marvel's not beyond that.
Yeah.
This looks like a church, if I'm looking at it the right way.
Kind of.
You got the stained glass right here. You got the benches.
It's a little topsy-turvy right now, so it's a little hard to tell. Yeah. But, oh my god, seriously, this shot, Dormammu, Nightmare, or whoever he is, just, oh my god, it's beautiful shot here.
Yeah, really good.
So Inception, so kind of...
Yeah, I definitely think it's a church just because of the stained glass.
There we go. I found a picture of Nightmare. There he is.
Let me take a good look at that.
Oh, hold on.
Okay. Can you guys see it on here?
Wait. Let me just hold it up. Let me just... Okay, there we go.
I see. Okay. I don't know, I saw some image of him without the horse, and he looked without that, and he looked kind of similar, but I don't know. I barely even know. I don't even know what this guy's power set is.
He manipulates dreams and minds. He's a...
That's the night. Okay.
I mean, essentially, you can think of him like, all the things that, people used to think about, elves and gnomes and goblins, all the, Norse mythology about those things. Mm-hmm. Nightmare is the representation that he's like a Saley lord or something, but he's actually a pan-dimensional being who just loves dicking with people. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see. Again, Mikkelsen's kind of a mystery at this point, and we're going to see an overhead shot. It's probably the best glimpse we get at him so far. Anyway, yeah, I love that. Everyone's the main cry to this whole trail is like, "Oh, it looks so Inception-like," and it is, but I like it. It's not using the same shots.
Compliment. That is a goddamn compliment.
It is. I'm just saying, I like though. It's it's still creatively different though. It's all twisty and twirly. We didn't quite get that when Inception was doing other fantastic creative things, but here it's going still in a different direction.
Inception, this actually looks like it might be Inception Plus, because the thing with Inception, it had a really good first act. It established everything really well. By the time they got to the Snow Fortress on the third level, I kind of felt like it devolved into less a cool dream movie and more kind of like a third-person shooter.
Yeah. Well, the more rules you add and the more specific things that have to happen, then the limits that you put on that imaginative story.
Well, actually, go back to the Mikkelsen shot real quick. I want to point something out.
Hold on.
Sounds good.
Something I noticed, though, again, had my mind blown by this scene. Once he kind of twists the room a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so as he's twisting the room there, it looks vaguely similar. I like in the style of that also, in addition to kind of new Inception vibe, kind of like Inception Plus, like you said. It looks very similar to kind of our Easter egg we got of Doctor Strange and Ant-Man, when he's going through the kind of multi-dimensional planes. When he's shrinking. And again, we had that all that
into the quantum world.
Yes, when he's going to the quantum realm, there's that moment where everything's really twisty, kind of like that, and we might have gotten a glimpse of a whole realm of reality in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like it stylistically. Oh yeah, we're connecting it all. Yeah, so there's our
Yeah, this is the best shot we get of him right
other
there.
guys there, the ones who also seem to have that same eye affliction that he does.
Yes.
That's the where those rumors of the mindless ones are coming from.
And again, doesn't
because the mindless ones have their face like missing in the comics, so they were thinking, well, maybe it's like eyes in this.
Well, who created the mindless ones? Who's behind those guys, or are they just their own entity?
This is a Stan Lee idea.
No, I mean, like, is there a character that created the mindless ones, or?
I don't think so. To be honest, I haven't read through those comics in a while. The really early ones. I think it's like there's like a dimension where these things exist, and then I think it's Umar who like manipulates them. She like says Doctor Strange is a threat to your continued existence, and you have to kill him to to prevent your species from dying out. And then they go and attack Doctor Strange.
I ask because, again, my main exposure is just like Dormammu summoning a bunch of these guys, or at least working with a bunch of these guys, and my assumption was, okay, maybe it's fueling the Dormammu quote-unquote fire again.
Sure, could be. Yeah. Umar is, I think, like Dormammu's cousin or sister or something.
Oh, yes. Didn't she have a thing for Doctor Strange? Someone in relation. Oh, okay.
Clea is Doctor Strange's eventual wife. She's another pan-dimensional sorceress. But yeah, Umar is a bad guy. Let's see.
There's Mordo.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I love this shot. This shot is so freaking cool.
One of the best shots in this trailer, folks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good shot. Yes, Umar is the sister of Dormammu.
Okay. So here we go.
She's the one who manipulates the
mindless ones. Watch that one more time in all its glory.
Yeah.
Bam! Oh man.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Jacob, as you said, this is definitely. I would not be surprised at all if this is just a straight up visual homage to Inception at this point.
This isn't flying; it's falling with style. Penrose style.
There is a figure that's falling in the middle there.
So that's I believe it's strange.
Well, yeah, I mean you can't really see it because it's so tiny, but.
Right.
The first time I watched the trailer, I definitely didn't notice the figure. I was too busy looking at the cities.
I'm with you there. Sure. This is just like that walking upside the city mirror shot.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like, I feel like again, it's like that plus more. Inception.
Yeah, it's times 3 here. It's coming from 3 angles instead of 2. It's like folding on.
It also looks like it's bent in 90 degrees in a couple of places, and near the bottom, right.
Cool.
And so,
like I said, this is exactly the kind of imagery that I've wanted to see for Inception 2, and I really want Nolan to do an Inception.
They promised, they definitely promised in like all the hype for Doctor Strange it was going to be psychedelic, and boy, they deliver on that Steve Ditko psychedelic style here.
Totally.
I want to see more like space type stuff, because that's, all of Steranko's like craziest stuff is these stone pathways through stars and like weird constellations and shapes and things. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff I want to see, and we've seen a little bit of that kind of style in like the teaser images, like the illustrations and things that we've seen. And then the newest poster, the one where he's got the fingers over his eye, you've got like the iridescent space colors coming away from it. So I'm hoping we get to see some of that as well.
Yeah, one of the coolest images ever of Strange is doing the finger thing while Spider-Man's doing the web slinging pose, like back to back, like buddy cop movie.
Sure, and the gesture that Strange does is kind of, he doesn't bend his fingers inwards. It's like a straight out one.
Yeah.
Like this.
Like I said, this is definitely the money shot for me. Just the delivery from Cumberbach. It's, oh my god. It's pretty much the voice of the audience right here. It's just, teach me.
And they could put this at the end of every trailer now. Just like at the end of Force Awakens.
What is this crazy shit we're witnessing, Tilda Swinton? Teach me.
Teach me. For every film student. Teach me.
Right. Pretty much.
Teach me.
I mean, it's perfect. I think it's a perfect way to kind of like end the trailer, and then if you want a perfect ending to a trailer, you also have to have a perfect tag to a trailer. So, yeah.
Whatever could they do.
Enter.
Most iconic location in almost all of Marvel.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I love how you don't even. I love how they're holding out on even seeing him from the front. You just see him from the back. That it just makes the mystery that much more intense. You're just like, okay, that is fully formed Strange right there. After he's gone through all that mind-bending crap we've already seen, this movie's going to be amazing.
There's proof in the pudding. Cape equals mysticism in Marvel.
yeah.
Okay.
And of course, this is the Sanctum Sanctorum. The symbol in the back that's on the stained glass is the symbol of the Vishanti, which also represents the order that Doctor Strange is a part of.
Okay, so I think that about does it. Do you guys have any kind of final thoughts on the trailer after we broke it down?
Again, it's visually it's absolutely dazzling, and I think it's just kind of like a fan like myself, just kind of like either someone casually knows it, like very very surface level casually knows Doctor Strange, or even just your regular passerby can show them this and it's like, this is definitely worth a look. It's Marvel doing something you haven't seen. It's like a Marvel movie, but like you haven't seen before. Like Ant-Man, just in the vein of something you're a little familiar with, but that's still really original, really cool. But this is like completely in a league of its own. You haven't seen any Marvel movie like it's not like Thor, but it's going realms and realms beyond Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seeming again from the trailer, that's what I'm judging as it's definitely worth a watch just based on this trailer alone. Like, how can you not see a movie that visuals that dazzling, but also kind of like an intrigue of like doctor, surgeon, all these hand shots. You gotta know what the heck happened to this guy. What's he going to achieve in life now? Now he's wearing a cape. I gotta know what happens, please.
Yeah,
teach me what happens, please. It's looking very good.
Jacob, final thoughts on your end?
Sure. I mean, we've pretty much covered all the stuff that I've already had interest in. But I'll give a little brief thing about my hopes for the movie. Part of why I like Doctor Strange so much is this idea of the philosophical change of heart and the empathy that he develops, the compassion that he develops, and then changing his intellectual capacity, his intelligence capacity for completing surgeries, for advancing himself in society and turning that towards a more noble pursuit. Is really fascinating to me, and you don't get to see that a lot in Marvel movies. Oftentimes, the person is really the same person at the beginning of the movie that they were at the end of the movie. And there might be events that change their station or change their location, but they don't get as much of this growth and change that you see in Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange still essentially considers himself a human. He has access to this other stuff, but he doesn't view himself as a superhero. He doesn't view himself as I'm somebody with powers. That's I'm better than a human is. He considers himself a human, and he he treats the world of human laws and human codes of conduct as an important thing. But I think he also uses his arcane knowledge as a point of wisdom too. There's the only bit he's in the Civil War comic. He's way out in the middle of the wastes of Antarctica or something like that, and I forget who it is. Somebody comes to him asking for advice, what side should I choose, or what side did you choose in this conflict? And he said there's not a right side, because the conflict is one that's generated under a false pretense. We should spend our time with all the terrible things that are out there in the universe and beyond. We should spend the little time that we have with each other finding ways to be good to each other and finding ways we can benefit each other, and not fighting over stupid ideas of structure. And to me, that's the core and the heart of the character, is transcending, finding the wisdom in empathy and compassion, regardless of what the powers are, finding these impossible solutions. So yeah. My hopes are that I don't want to see a movie that has 20 minutes of intellectual development and then has an hour and a half of big magic fight scenes or big magic explodey things. I want to see a movie that's an hour and a half of intellectual and philosophical discovery.
And then maybe like half an hour of big magic fighty things.
Right. That's that's like interspersed within it, and we see the journey of that growing. So in a way, I think the structure of Captain America, the first Avenger, the original Captain America movie, is a good structure for the Doctor Strange movie, because we really don't get a whole lot of Cap fighting in that, but we really learn a lot about the character. We see his growth and his journey. And that's what, that gets us into that character, that, we empathize with.
Does that mean we're going to get to explore Stephen Strange's propaganda era?
I mean, as an egotistical surgeon, sure, there's probably, other doctors who are recommending him and, who are saying, you need to do this job because it's really hard and I can't do it. And he's like, okay, well, if it's going to pay me really well, great, let's do it.
Well, all right. So overall, I think it's fair to say you're excited.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I got a couple of my strangers here with me, and if you can see him super well or not. This is one of my big ones.
Tiki, make sure you're not locked on.
I'm locked on to him right now.
Good.
Got this one. This is one of the Marvel Legends ones.
Ooh.
So,
love the cape.
Yeah, it's like a rubber or something, so you can actually move it and pose it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks for inviting me to do this. I'm glad that you guys are getting excited about it as well.
For me, it's kind of like living vicariously through you. Of like, you saw, I saw your picture and I was like, oh, he's so happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be sold on Doctor Strange, and so far that seems to be what this film's doing. Sell me on Strange.
But like I said, the only thing I wanted and expected out of this trailer, the one thing was just to show me some cool supernatural shit and show me a new side of Marvel that I've not seen before. And this trailer went above and beyond. It delivered that in spades. I have absolutely no expectation for the character itself. It's like I'm a totally clean slate when it comes to Doctor Strange, so I am just looking for this, Jacob, like you said, to be an actual well-structured movie where we get a lot of that philosophical discussion, where we get a lot of that kind of like exploring the mind-bending nature of it without actually having to fight in it all the time. And I think this movie's going to do that. I've got really high hopes for this thing.
You know what's kind of funny? It is kind of, in a weird way, kind of just because Civil War's coming out, so it is kind of like a bizarre combination of Captain America and Iron Man. You have kind of the Tony Stark story, but played more or less, kind of less humor, less kind of quirkiness, less kind of Robert Downey Jr. charm, more kind of the face value. Like, we're gonna root for this guy. We're gonna see him from the beginning. He's gonna become something much better than what he started out as. We're gonna it's gonna be this great transformation, kind of a mix of like where the two of them meet, kind of the the readjusting lifestyle mixed with kind of at his core becoming a great human being.
Totally.
And kind of a beacon for the other Marvel characters. Like, does Captain America get surveilled by S.H.I.E.L.D.? I don't think so. Well, we found out what the episode Winter Soldier. But the point still stands.
Yeah.
This movie's looking really good.
Yeah. All right, and with that, I will just ask Jacob Gulliver and all of his Doctor Strange fan knowledge. I will ask him, teach me. All right, have a good night.
We got